There you go. He could have been Louis Armezzani and been.
All right, so we're starting. Lou literally just walked in the door.
Right.
You guys are already joking. Lou, Jerry, Lou.
Lou, hello. That's my middle name, Lou.
Yeah.
Right.
So one time I was partnering people up, and we have another Lou, right? Was that what it was?
Yeah, that's a Lou.
And I was like, okay, Jerry and Lewis, and I'm like, ha ha ha, and he goes, that's my middle name. I'm like, ha ha ha. He's like, no, seriously, it's my middle name.
No, it is, and it's not even the dumbest part of my name because my last name's Valeri, so it rhymes. So it's like Jerry Valeri, Jerry Lewis. You could make you could make fun of it all day.
A lot of potential.
Right. Before we get started, I should let you guys know that you're unfortunately closer to my stuff than you'd want to be.
Uh-oh.
Because we just had striking, we just had class, and I showered and I brought clothes, but I forgot an extra pair of undies. So I'm going commando bagging.
Hopefully you don't get stuck in the chair like what happened last time.
It'd be like the dog from Joe Dirt when the
Yeah.
spatula on the deck. That's what you have to do it.
So the fly's up. We should be okay, but I just wanted to let you know that
we won't turn the camera down or anything.
Right. And just a quick question: we are recording this.
We're
week.
recording. So last week we got like halfway through a podcast, and then I look over and I'm like, we're not recording at all. and I'm like, and we both just deflated. We're like, oh my god, what do we do? So
that stinks.
So
we're recording.
Let's introduce Lou to everybody.
Yeah, Lou. Man, we go back a long ways.
Yeah.
Like
almost 10 years.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
But jiu-jitsu black belt, former pro fighter, amazing guy. I don't have enough good things to say about you. Like as soon as I realized, we need to do a seminar, and then let's do a podcast. It was like done.
Yeah, I was like pretty stoked. I'm like, this is gonna be like so much fun.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your new gym in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, awesome. So my new gym is in Monaca, Pennsylvania, which is it's a little river town right by Beaver, it's in Beaver County. I'm not actually in Allegheny County, but I'm
close. That's so close.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm closer to the airport. I'm only 10 miles from the airport, so that's like my reference point when I try to explain where Monaca is. This little, steel mill town. But got my gym opened up about 16 months now. Going well. Just doing Jiu-Jitsu. It's the only classes that I'm offering right now. Just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Have some no-gi. Obviously a lot in the gi and kids program.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'll tell you what, the kids are where it's at. Like I love teaching adults, but teaching kids, it's like a whole other dimension of like fun for me.
Absolutely.
It
is. Like for me, for like the longest time, the kids program wasn't the one that was really kicking off. Like more like adults and guys who compete and fight were kind of like seeking me out more than the kids program. Like some other gyms in town had real successful kids programs, but I was just like, well, my main focus right now is on some athletes, but that changed quickly because those are little short-lived spurts.
Sure.
So here, Ryan, with the youth martial arts, my son's in youth martial arts, and he hasn't done any grappling or any jiu-jitsu yet. It's been the striking stuff. So at your gym, it's just they start right away on the ground.
Yeah. I really use a lot of judo for the kids, just because you get to incorporate some takedowns and then the basic fundamental techniques of jiu-jitsu with on the groundwork.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, for your son, Jerry, we do start them with the fundamental movements of jiu-jitsu. Like he's doing all the mat movements.
The mat movements, yeah.
Like he could do the full adult warm-up right now. For
jiu-jitsu. You just made it look fun, and I didn't realize what it was because I don't take jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, there you go.
You tricked them into learning jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's all it is. So they're pretty much their whole warm-up with mat movements and whatnot is jiu-jitsu. But no, for youth martial arts, they go into striking, and then eventually they'll do sticks and whatnot. And we get some kids that after they learn the fundamentals, they go, I really like this ground stuff. I just want to do jiu-jitsu, and then they just go into the jiu-jitsu program. So, well, that's cool. So you're starting to tell me before we went on air about a challenge you were doing. Can you explain how?
Of course.
Because everyone wants to know now.
With pride. The grocery bags?
Yes, let me hear it.
Yeah, okay. So, I'm married with 2 children, so when we go to the grocery store, there's a lot of food and, objects that need to get from the truck up the stairs into the kitchen. And I'm that guy that, you see the memes that I'd rather die trying.
Come a little bit closer. There we go.
Yeah, I'd rather die trying to make it in one trip as opposed to two.
If you don't make it in one trip, you're failing life, I think.
As a man, yeah, you're a failure.
Yeah, but it's tough when you throw in the milk jug. I don't count milk containers or orange juice containers. You just have to get all the bags the first time. Or do you try the milk containers and
everything?
but
So I had a roll of toilet paper. I had a gallon of ammonia for my gis, all the grocery bags, and the only thing left sitting there was just a half a gallon carton of orange juice. So I bent down and picked it up with my mouth. I bit into it. I grabbed it, and I'm walking up the stairs, and then I just hear tink, and my fake tooth broke in half.
So it's fake. Did you lose it at some point?
Yeah, when I was 10. I remember roller racers?
Mm-hmm.
Those things you sit on, and I face planted really hard. Like, it just, yeah.
I did that. I did that over the handlebars of my bike once.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so lucky. I skidded the concrete with my 2 front teeth, but it was my baby teeth.
Man.
Nice.
So here you are, a jiu-jitsu black belt. You fought MMA. You're missing a tooth right now, and you're going to tell people that you lost it with an orange juice container.
You know what? It's that whole honesty thing. I just have.
Well,
if you can create a really cool story.
Well, that's the thing. Tonight you have a seminar where you're going to teach people a lot of cool stuff. Let me teach you something right now when it comes to doing a show.
Okay.
Rule number 1. Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Like, I don't know what, maybe you got into a fist fight at the grocery store. Maybe you fell into a gorilla pen at the Cincinnati Zoo and had to fight your way out. I have a scar right here, this scar, and people still don't know how I got it, because every time they ask, I go, I was visiting my cousin Mike in Florida and I got attacked by an alligator, or I was at Myrtle Beach and I got attacked by a shark, or I got it skydiving with an alligator and a shark. Like, you just make up stories, and that's the way to do it. So let's try that again. Hey Lou, what happened to your tooth?
So I was coming inside, locking my car up at night, and I got approached by 3 guys with stockings over their head.
Whoa.
10 guys, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
15 actually.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, too. The one missing tooth. Let's think about all the tough guys that have one missing tooth.
Every hockey player.
So, every hockey player. Matt Hughes, Pat Cummins. He's another one.
The toughest guy I might know.
Yeah.
Paul Bradley.
Oh yeah.
Tooth.
Nick the Tooth. like all these tough guys
It
are
was a
missing
milestone for me because, I fought MMA. Yeah, I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt. Yeah, I like to grapple. But have I made it yet? Because I still have all my jibs.
You're still pretty. You're still pretty.
Yeah, I still have. Now I feel like I made it.
You did. So what do you think of the fights coming up this weekend?
Who's fighting?
So we have.
We just had a big weekend last weekend with Adam Milstead and Cody Guard.
And that was huge.
Yeah,
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
Cody is a stud.
You know what, Cody? So Cody trained at the Fight Club when I first got to Pittsburgh, and they asked me to come and teach jiu-jitsu there. They didn't have an instructor. I came in. Cody was in and out. At that time, he was still spending time at Alpha Male, but his home, the Pittsburgh area. Got to spend a decent amount of time with Cody on and off the mat. And the one element of his game that he has is being ferocious.
Yeah, he is.
Being fearless.
He is.
And the fact that he's a amazing boxer. And his uncle Bob Meese, who's our boxing coach down there, he's really I don't know. He's just...
And that's an intangible. You can learn form and you can learn technique, but to have that feral attitude when you get into
absolutely
a fight,
So
not everyone has that edge.
Yeah, so I don't have very many Cody Garbrandt stories. In fact, I don't have any other than this one. So it was a tournament. I think it was Golden Gloves, and it was a non-tournament bout that they needed someone for. And I didn't know who he was, and apparently this Cody Garbrandt guy was going to fight on it, but it was a non-tournament bout. He took the fight. That night, he drove there. He didn't have a corner. No one cornered him. He fought. He won. He drove home. That's insane. So, you know how we do it. We make sure everyone's prepared. We warm them up.
Right.
He literally went and fought by himself and then went home.
No corner. So what did he do? Just sit in? Who brought the bench in for him or the stool to sit on?
I can't even remember. I just remember he doesn't have a corner. What the heck's going on here? I think he just stood there. But yeah, so that was like
and he won.
And he won. Yeah, I remember. I'm almost positive he had a convertible Mustang at the time, and yeah.
Yeah, he is. He's got a bright future, and I'm just calling this right now. His next fight is going to be Garbrandt Dillashaw.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I'm calling it now before I know it's going to happen.
That would be
There's
awesome.
beef there, and now that Cody just popped in, within the top 10, I would imagine he'd be top 10 contender.
Now this
Mayweather.
week, you keep bringing it up, Ryan, like you're excited about the fights, but I've asked you about the two biggest fights on the card, and it feels like you think it's cut and dry. You said Faber's going to lose and Bisping's going to lose. Boom, boom.
Yes. Cruz has the reach. He has, I think he has the experience over Faber. I really do. He has the footwork, and I mean, they've both been fighting around the same amount of time. I would say that Faber was more seasoned when they fought the first time.
Absolutely.
But I don't see how Cruz doesn't win.
Me neither. Because not only is he he's obviously he's further along in the evolution of fighting than Faber is.
He is.
Cruz is. But when you've beaten someone more than once, I mean that mental aspect of.
Well, isn't it 1-1? I'm pretty sure.
Is it 1-1?
Yeah, Faber choked him the first time. Remember, that was
Right,
WEC.
yeah.
And then the second time, Cruz won unanimous, or not unanimous. It was split decision, I think. So they're 1-1.
I didn't watch WEC. Wasn't Faber supposed to be the guy?
He really was.
He was the guy.
Yeah.
He really he paved the way for MMA. That was back before I started fighting amateur.
He paved the way for the lighter weight classes, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah. He was
Because the
one of the
UFC.
biggest
What was the
studs in
lightest UFC had for a while?
55.
55, 70, 85, 205 heavyweight.
I remember some of our fighters, because there was no lighter weight classes. They should have fought. I had a fighter that should have fought 25, 35, 45, and they all fought 55 because that's all that mattered. That's all they wanted. So they were all bulking on muscle, and you have people like Sean Shirk that he walked around at 190 because he just got jacked to fight at 55.
Yeah.
But he could have fought.
And
at
now we
35.
know how he got jacked.
Probably. Yeah, exactly. Yep. But no, and then Rockhold Bisping this weekend.
I mean, that's a great. Okay, throw Bisping in there because he's going to talk a lot of smack. People like that, right? They're going to follow the fight, but he doesn't have a chance to beat Luke Rockhold.
Is this even going to go 2 rounds?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Unless Rockhold comes out real slow like he did. I don't know. Doesn't he take the first round and really
He has done that. Here's what I've, and this is probably what you were referencing. Here's how I think the fight's going to go. Now that I'm putting it out there for public, it's probably not going to happen. But I think it's going to stay standing for the first round. Second round, Rockhold's going to rock him. Then he's going to hold him. No. Sorry about that. But no, then I can see him. He's going to rock him. He's going to take him down. And then I think he's going to get mount just like he did with Chris. And I think that Bisping's not going to want his pretty face to get messed up, and he's going to belly down, short choke. That's what I think what's going to happen.
I could see that happening.
Tell me what you said on the last podcast about Bisping getting the biggest purse in
did you know that?
UFC.
His
makes the most money.
his average take home show and win is around $350,000 every fight.
Good for him.
How crazy is that?
There are better fighters that need his manager.
Well, not that, but you have to understand. Okay, so then there's Conor, right? But look at these guys that from other countries. When you're leading the nation and everybody's rallying behind you in terms of MMA and everyone's buying into your fights and MMA gear, I feel like that's the kind of take one and jack up the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what happened. Who knows how he did that though? Because we were looking at it, and he, it was like a few fights in, like after did he win the Ultimate Fighter? He was on the Ultimate Fighter.
I think he won.
Yeah,
he won it. Then he came back and he coached it 1 year.
Yeah, so a few fights after that, he was making bank. So who knows how he did that? But yeah, then you have, I think Garbrandt got what? I think it was 20 to show and 20 to win or something like that.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's the basic. That's their basic start you off.
It really is.
The basic was for a while. It was 8-8.
Yep.
And then 12-12, and 18-20. I mean, now they do whatever. It doesn't even matter because they say the purse is this. Then people are getting locker room bonuses that are undisclosed.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I don't see how Rockhold loses. That's gonna be a good fight though. I don't see how it's not gonna be a good fight. Henderson Lombard, What?
Ben Henderson?
Dan Henderson.
Or, I was gonna say which Henderson?
Dan Henderson.
Pappy Henderson.
And Lombard. That's just insane. Like, I don't know how he's still fighting.
That's got overhand rights written all over it.
Yep, you're right. Yeah. Lombard has a way of gassing, though, so.
Yeah, when you have that much unnatural muscle on your body.
Did he get popped?
Yeah.
Did he? Yeah. Crazy.
Who
Yeah,
else is
should be
on
fun.
there?
Let's see. We got Ortega and Guida. Clay Guida still fighting. We were just trying to figure out what happened with Penn. Did BJ Penn got?
You want to hear something?
Yeah.
Okay. So
let's hear it.
BJ Penn got popped for IVs. Okay. He was supposed to fight Cole Miller. That was this weekend. So the UFC called my guy Mark Cherico for a last-minute replacement.
No way.
Yeah, and we took it. We said yes.
Heck
This is
yeah.
like the 5th time that this has happened to us.
Oh.
Once was Sweden against Seaver. A couple other guys they've called. We've always said yes. But something happened after that, and they didn't take Mark. They took Bruce Leroy. Or that
So what do they do? They call and they ask people, and they get a bunch of yeses, and then they pick from the yeses?
My guess would be once they got back to Cole Miller's camp and said, hey, here's Mark Cherico, and they checked him out, and they were like, nah.
No thanks.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think that
Which
happens.
is smart for Cole.
Yeah.
Because Mark is a good fighter, and he's got...
Is he always ready, though? Because, I mean, it's last minute, so, like, is he always fight camp ready, I guess?
I mean, he's 30-pound weight cut in 9 days ready. But other than that, like, he's training all the time, yeah. Like, we work out, like, 2 days a week all the time. We have our own private workout, and then he's always... Dude, that Monday nights when it's sparring, there's... I mean, a lot of guys from all over 3 states come up. There's like 40 guys.
That's awesome.
Adam Milstead, Dempsey, he just got cut from the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
All their friends, there's just guys everywhere. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
If you feel like diving into it now, great. If you want to do it another time, that's fine. But I, at some point, want to talk about, like, the 30-pound weight cut. Like that, there's a science behind cutting weight, and it just sounds so hard and dangerous. Like, I don't know how people cut so much weight and then they fight.
You know how this guy used to do it? He used to get he would put on his sweats and whatnot, and he put on the trash bags and whatnot, and then he would run the elliptical and sing at the top of his lungs while he had headphones in. That's how Lou used to cut weight.
But what do you lose? Like, I've been working my butt off, and I've lost 12 pounds in a month. So how do you lose 30 pounds in a week?
Well, what people don't realize is that's water weight. So that's not actual weight that you're losing, like fat.
Which cut off a foot, you don't.
Most fighters, unless you're a heavyweight, they likely don't, or they're fighting out of the weight class, they don't have fat to lose. So it's all water weight. So they're trying to get as much water out of their system as possible.
Yeah, that and diet is crucial.
Sure.
Right. So I compete now in Jiu-Jitsu IBJJF. I have to be 190 pounds. And I walk around about between 2 and 205, pretty lean. Not, I mean, I have some weight to lose, but as soon as I'm consistently just greens, lean protein, nothing processed, within a few days, I'm from 203, 204 to 196, just naturally.
Just from cleaning up your diet.
Just from cleaning up my diet. Because when we're not in camp, we like to eat, right?
I love food.
I mean, you've seen my pictures on Instagram.
You've seen my body right now. Like, I like to eat.
Yes.
So that's another thing. So what got you into this meat thing? Like the pictures that you're posting of some of this meat is amazing.
So it's just my wife and I we're kind of getting on this sustainability kick.
Huh.
Food. Being that we have children now. My friend has a farm, and I'm like, dude, let's get some pigs. I'm Italian. I like to make prosciutto and sausage, and I love to barbecue stuff.
It looks amazing.
So you can cure your own stuff? You're making your own
I have a
prosciutto?
curing chamber in my garage.
That's
I have 5 hams in there now, and I'll have 4 more in 2 months when I butcher 2 more pigs.
Come back and do a seminar on that.
Yes.
And I will sign up that day.
I will.
That's awesome.
So how do you?
Yeah.
So you make your own prosciutto and everything?
Yeah.
How long does that keep after you've
After
made it?
So this is actually my first cycle of hams because they take a year to cure.
Wow.
Yeah, so they'll be done in November, and then what I would do is
Just in time for Christmas food.
That's awesome.
that's right.
Good timing.
I'll just vac seal it and put it in the freezer, just to
Sure.
make sure it stays fresh.
That's awesome. Yeah, those pictures you're posting.
So where are you getting the pigs and stuff? Everybody has a farm.
My friend has a farm, and we found, trial and error. We have a breeder in Ohio that we really like. They're all heritage hogs. They're
Nice.
called. Nothing like what you buy in the grocery store.
Yeah.
Like that's all commercial
Sure.
hogs. But yeah, he raises them free range, organic everything.
That's the thing about what you buy in the grocery store. They call it, trickle down nutrition. You eat their meat that's made from what they eat. So if they eat crap, then their body's going to be crap.
Sure.
So if it's all, all natural, grass-fed cows, stuff like that. If it's perfectly fed beef or pork or whatever, it's gonna be better. Same with chickens and the eggs and stuff like that. So with stuff you get in the grocery store, it's
So you're doing the whole gamut. You're doing.
Well, my one friend has the chickens. My other friend has the pigs.
that's awesome.
And I have like a couple gardens at my house for like vegetables and
That's awesome.
and whatnot. But,
Super hungry right now.
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had lunch yet. That's awesome. Cool. Yeah. What else have we not talked about? I mean, we're only a half hour in.
Well, I could talk about that some more.
Forever.
Yeah, you got like a week you can clear off.
So the seminar tonight.
Ooh.
What do we cover with that? Like, I don't take jiu-jitsu, so I don't know how. What are you looking forward to doing tonight with the seminar? Do you have a certain way that you do it?
I teach, whenever.
And does he just teach it and you stand back? Or?
I'm sitting back. Yeah. I mean, here's a cool thing about what we do at CPA MMA is Lou's a great example. We bring in guys that have a certain game, and he does, that we want to expose all the students to. So tonight is Lou's night. He's going to show whatever the heck he wants and like all of his go-to stuff, and the students get to learn it. It's as simple as that.
And it's on the house. I thought that was the coolest thing about this seminar.
Yeah, we did that for all of the current students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little preview without you choking me out or anything.
Yeah. So it's just what I plan on showing tonight is part of I call it a double threat system. It's a guard pass with looking for submissions, and I show some cool ways to set them up. And
Awesome.
yeah.
And you've been really competitive over the past like 6 months, haven't you?
Yeah, the past year and a half, I did a lot of IBJJFs, Toronto, Chicago, New York twice. In New York, I got a chance to compete against Chico Mendez,
Wow.
a big time checkmat guy, Murillo Santana, world champion, McGregor Gracie.
Yeah, you posted that one picture I thought was cool, saying how Gregor has the Gracie name. That's all it is.
Yeah,
Don't get hyped up about that.
my coach at the time, he said, this guy, Jiu-Jitsu, you just have the name Gracie, and I said, cool. And what was really cool was after I competed against these guys, because growing up as athletes, a guy like with that name, Gracie, or world champion, I keep looking through my Jiu-Jitsu magazine or on YouTube one day, and then 2 weeks later, I'm shaking his hand before we're going to compete. So there's like this whole mental, emotional, thing that plays out.
Yep.
That can make you questionable to your abilities, and a winning strategy has to be implemented. So when that gets thrown into the equation, now we have, it's like, what do I do?
Yep.
Like, because deep down I'm thinking, these guys know like these secret jiu-jitsu moves and nobody knows.
Got it from the Gracie Book of Secrets in the basement.
Exactly. That's like, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a while. You've been doing jiu-jitsu for a while. It's like, I'm thinking, but you know what? I competed against these guys, and that's not the way it was. They did the same things that the guys in your room are doing.
Yep,
and
that's
the guys
awesome.
in my room are doing.
They've just been doing them since they were 2.
They've been doing it since they were 2, but I thought right off the bat, like, they're gonna be better everywhere, and it's like both guys pulled guard. They wouldn't want to stand.
Sure.
I was looking for takedowns. They instantly pulled guard, probably because I had my Penn State wrestling hoodie on. I think that threw everybody
That's
off.
hilarious.
That
I
was
love
like,
it.
That's the best. That is like one of the best strategies, I think, from now on. I remember AJ Agazarm before he was popular.
Were you not a Penn State wrestler?
No.
No.
So you just made everybody think you were.
You got to give him
Well,
credit.
I didn't make him think I was. I just liked the shirt.
Quick segue though. So when Lou came to State College, one of our friends, Chad, was setting up. Which, by the way, Chad was really ahead of his time in this. He was setting up his own fight team, and the kingpin of this whole thing was Phil Davis. So Chad came to me and he's like, "Hey, we got to find training partners for Phil. Like, who should we bring in?" And we brought Paul in. And then, what do you think of this guy Lou? I'm like, "Get Lou down here." And Lou came in. So Lou was a main training partner for Phil Davis, who
Beast.
He just won his last Bellator fight. He's fighting for the title in Bellator for his next fight against Liam.
Is he an interim belt or some kind of?
It was the tournament belt, I think.
Okay,
That's what he got. So don't let Lou fool you. He's got some wrestling.
Well, and we used to work out with the team a lot.
Yep.
Because Chad still is a volunteer assistant there at Penn State, so we had that access, which was, you don't get those opportunities.
No, you don't. And
The Gracies benefit from that intimidation factor.
I think so. So there you go. So he's concerned about they're Gracies. They're concerned about the dude has a Penn State wrestling hoodie on.
I think honestly, I think that there might be more fear for a guy like Gregor because no one's expecting me to win. Right?
Yeah. Good
The
call.
guys are expecting Gregor to win. And
Everything to lose.
For Gregor, he took, because after the match we were talking, and he took 4 or 5 years off from competitive jiu-jitsu, and this was his first season back. So he told me, he's like, after the match, he's like, "Bro, you're so strong." He's like, "Here, take some of my water." I'm like, "No, I'm good. I got to go against Manilow in 5 minutes." And he's like, "Man," he's like, talking to me. And that was when I really realized that, these guys really aren't
They're
on
humans.
this pedestal.
Yep.
Yeah, they're just like us.
Well, but I feel like they cope with an obscene amount of pressure as Gracies. It's the whole Gracie clan. It's cousins and nephews and uncles and dads and it's been all of them. So that's really impressive because my uncle worked in a steel mill. That doesn't mean I'd be good at it. My dad was great at math. I suck at math.
Absolutely right.
You know what I mean? It seems it's like they make a human and it's just it comes out with a yellow belt already. And you're like, holy hell.
Yep.
What in the heck are you doing? So there's a lot of pressure because you're right. They walk in and they have you'd almost not want to even have your last name be Gracie.
Yeah.
How would you like to be Fred Gracie? And you'd be like, well, I'm an accountant. But I'm a good accountant, but nobody cares. Who else is going to keep track of their dumb books? But poor Fred, he doesn't know how to choke somebody out with his elbow, so that's it.
I'm sure there are some Gracies that don't do jiu-jitsu, but it seems like the majority
They're probably
of them,
exiled from the family.
probably.
You're done. They get choked out on Christmas Day, and you're out. You're done.
So, real quick, so after I just got done competing, I had to make a decision. I had to change the team that I was with, and now I'm with Tony Passos and Atos.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was it. Kind of just happened. It kind of fell together organically and naturally.
Well, and you had been down at Tony's at some point, right? Were you helping
I
him
was
teach at all, or were you? I can't remember. It was a while ago.
The training I did down there, no, I was never teaching, but I was always in preparation for fights. That's when I was in my.
And that's when you were training down there.
Yeah, he would let me. Him and Faras, they would let me sleep in this room above the gym, and I would get trained there.
That's
all
awesome.
I wanted. They took real good care of me. Something I always remembered, and a lot of my game that I use today is stuff that I learned when I was a blue belt. Learning from Tony.
I'm totally with you. No, Tony had a huge influence on me. Him and De La Hiva all the way back then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But no, I think for the competitive side of things, being with them, being with Tony, that's an awesome fit. It really is.
I'm super stoked about it because when I was in Scranton and a part of Team Jacao, that worked because I was only 2 hours from the city, from New York City. When I moved to Pittsburgh for my job that I used to have, now I alienated myself so much.
Yep.
Everything was super difficult. I would only see him twice a year, maybe 3 times. I'm not getting coaching anymore. you know, I'm doing everything on my own, and I'm competing at a high level. And I knew that if I wanted to accomplish my goals, I had to change what I was doing.
Sure.
And the Tony thing just happened. It didn't even, like, it just fell onto my lap one day, and I knew in my heart that it was the right thing that I had to do.
That's awesome.
And now that's where we're at.
That's great. Tony's one of those guys that, I mean, I've known him longer than I've known you, and he has not changed. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of these guys that has just been consistent this whole time. The day I met him, and if I see him tomorrow, it's the same Tony.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And I love that.
It's hard to find that. It really is, you know? And this is a perfect example. I mean, we haven't seen each other since what? Was it a seminar in Pittsburgh a few years ago?
I think, Gary Tonen's.
Yeah. What was it? Year or so ago.
Yeah.
But even before that, we hadn't seen each other in forever. Like there's that true friend vibe that you get with people where it doesn't matter how long you've been away from someone, or a coach vibe. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It doesn't matter. As soon as you see him, you pick up where you left off.
Everybody has that friend where you can just pick right up.
Yep.
They also have that friend that you see all the time and you just still barely like each other.
Yep. or there's in the middle. I've experienced this a lot with not a lot, but
frenemies.
Nah, well, here's what happens. You don't see them, they move away. Or you just don't see them, and then when you see them next, they're like, "Are you mad at me?" And it's like, dude.
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
Number one, that's a very estrogen enriched statement.
Yeah.
Why would you ask me that?
Why
Number
so
two,
emotional?
why in the world would there be anything different? So it's.
Wait a second, I do that to you sometimes.
Why then don't do it?
Like we didn't do a podcast for 2 weeks, and I went, I think he hates me. I think he hates me. I don't want to do it anymore.
Nope, I'm.
We established
cut and
this
dry.
last week.
Yeah, I'm cut and dry, but yeah, getting back to it, that's how Tony is. So I took a private from him a few years ago whenever I was going through, and awesome private, awesome material, awesome rolling. The other cool thing way back when we were blue belts, like think about the people that he exposed us to, like not only De La Riva,
Cyborg,
yes,
Boca,
and who else was it that he brought to State College? I think De La Riva is up here.
I think he brought Luke. Did he bring Lucas Lepre?
No, I can't remember.
Lou, how long were you in State College?
Was it about 2 years?
Something like that, yeah.
About 2 years.
So you spent 2 years with Ryan, because Ryan, you never really left State College, right?
No, I've always
you've dog brothers, and you were in California, but you never lived there.
I've always lived in State College, and then I just go train. Yeah, like I said, originally Luke came up to be part of what was Lionheart Fighters, the defunct Lionheart Fighters, and it was Paul Bradley and Phil Davis and Jimmy Hedis. There's another story when Chad brought Jimmy in. He put him through this horrible workout, like insane.
All of us through horrible workouts.
But he made Jimmy puke. He just made him puke all over the place. And Chad comes up. He's like, I don't think we want him here. I'm like, you don't understand. You want Jimmy here. He's awesome. You know, and he goes on, what is he, 11-2 and 7-2 in the UFC or
Wait,
something.
he did a workout and he puked, so they didn't want him.
Yeah, he didn't think it was
God,
kind
you don't do that here. Like, my membership would have been revoked on day 3.
Yeah, you know, when Lionheart disbanded, kind of, Paul went to Minnesota, Phil went to San Diego, Jimmy went back to Scranton, and I went to Sterling. And I was living in, like, literally, like, in the gym or staying with people, just, like, do what I can.
Yeah.
And then I ended up moving back to Scranton, and I really didn't want to, because I did not want to leave Tony's gym.
Sure.
Like, it was that big part of my life, but I had to, and then here we are 7 years later, and look at what happened. Our paths happened to cross again, and now I'm back with them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've had a similar relationship with Eric Paulson. I mean, I started with Eric 20 years ago. And over the past, I want to say, I mean, we had probably 3 or 4 years where I didn't see him as much, but the past like 7-8 years, I've got to see him like dozens of times a year, which is just so awesome. So same kind of situation.
It's very Hallmark right now, because it's nice to see you guys started out there and now you're here doing a seminar at your amazing gym, talking about your amazing gym that you have. You both have your own gyms. You're doing seminars for each other. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan always. I remember when I was.
You guys have come a long way. Like, I feel like this is super touching. Let's get emotional.
All right, let me dig up some tears.
I wish I had a violin, or we had some music.
No, remember when I was on a rig, when I was in the oil field, I was working on a rig kind of close to. It was in Trout Run, and I would drive. I only did it a couple times. After I got done working a 12-hour shift, I would drive like an hour and 40 minutes to the gym.
Come train.
And I'd be like, man, yeah, I really want to open a gym. And you're like, dude, you should.
Gotta
you
do
should
it.
Do it. You love it. And like, it's good to have friends that motivate you to do things that.
Here's the thing: you have the personality, you have the drive, you have the technical ability. Like every time I see that, I'm like, do it.
Yeah.
And you did it.
Am I the only one that has Barry Manilow's "Looks like we made it" in my head? Like I've got that stuck in my head now.
No, you're not. But yeah, no, I mean, looking the whole way back, I mean, you and I were through a lot. I was trying to figure this out, and I was going to tell him. And did I corner your last fight? Was that the one in Altoona? Was that your last MMA fight, or did you have a few more after that?
That was the one I got hurt.
Yes.
That was my last fight.
Yeah.
Hurt in Altoona. That
So
should be the name of a book.
I'll tell you what.
That was you want to pull emotions out, man.
And
Let's
it was
do it. Let's get
okay. I'll set the scene.
Tearjerker.
So I cornered Lou for this fight. It was at the Jaffa Shrine, and I remember backstage. I'm wrapping your hands. He's saying like as little wrap as possible. I want to feel my knuckles hit this guy's face. I remember you saying that. And then
Jesus.
yeah.
Lord,
It was.
Lou.
Hey, MMA is about violence.
Yeah.
I said you've got to have that feral attitude.
Yeah.
So you wanted to really get in on him.
I used to get in, get out, get paid. That was my strategy.
Yeah.
So you lightly wrapped them.
Lightly wrapped the hands, and I don't even think I took my seat. And what, you shot him for a takedown?
I'll never forget this. So I came out, I threw 2 jabs, I landed 2 leg kicks, and I said, okay, this is because I like to take people down. And then I shot a double leg, but I did not do it with my right foot forward. I did it from a switch stance.
So you were further out,
I was
right?
further out, and I was not shooting off my foot that I always shoot right leg first. Okay, so when I shoot right leg first, that means I have the most extension with my right arm, my strong arm. I shot left leg first, all my extension going for the legs. My left arm was extended, and he sprawled, and that's when it was a freak accident.
What was the injury?
Dislocated his shoulder.
I completely tore my labrum major off the bone. It was one of the worst. The
Fight was over immediately, or did it?
Yeah,
continue
unfortunately.
I was screaming in pain. I was. Just
It was the worst pain I've literally ever seen anybody in. And as soon as it happened, you might not remember this. As soon as it happened, the ref was in there. The guy's flipping out, and he's
the
up on the
guy's
cage.
jumping on the cage.
Yeah. And usually when that happens, it's like, that sucks. He got hurt.
Show a little respect.
Yeah.
It's not like he hurt you.
No. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
It just
happened.
It wasn't like he beat you out. You didn't
try
took
to
your arm or something.
strategically
Yeah.
do that.
But honestly, that was the worst pain I've ever seen anybody in. And there's no doctor. The doctor wasn't, you were one of the first fights. Was that what it was?
All I remember is the toughest guy I know, Paul Bradley, crying, holding my head, kissing my forehead, and literally like a guy who doesn't show emotion to anyone other than like a or something. But I knew it was bad when I saw him crying, and then all I know is
that was backstage, wasn't it?
I don't even.
If I ever see you crying over me,
I remember hearing the paramedics keep saying he's gonna go out, he's gonna go into shock soon.
Yeah.
And son of a gun, I never did, and I wish I did because it would have helped with the pain so much.
To walk you through what I experienced, nobody goes in, and I'm like, doctor, no one was going in the octagon. And then I just barreled in, and I was there helping you. And then we got you out. We got you to the back room. You were looking through me, like as I was putting your shoulder back in. Like you were staring through my face, laying down. It was definitely scary.
So there was never like the doctor never. You were
No,
setting his
the doctor.
shoulder.
They got it back in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But once I got to the hospital,
The damage
I
is
remember
done.
you had the biggest sigh of relief whenever we got it back in.
yes,
Like you were like,
I could still feel it.
ah.
Yeah, I could still
Unbelievable.
feel that. But then the events to follow, it was just the worst time of my life. Like the surgery was easy, quick and simple. The recovery was tough.
That's a long climb back.
I'm with
It
you.
was, and I had all these crazy things going on in my life. There was this, me and this girl were together, and all this other weird stuff going on, and I ended up moving to Minnesota. Like literally,
No, wait,
like,
with Paul?
yeah,
I didn't know that.
like 4 months after my surgery, I literally like sold everything in my apartment, which was, bachelor at that, of a living room, a bedroom set, kitchen table, you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
sold everything, got out of my lease, bought a one-way plane ticket to Minneapolis, got my training bag and a suitcase, went out there, and Jacob Volkman ended up, like, I rehabbed my shoulder, but I had a bad practice with a very, very similar situation,
Ugh.
my injury. Nothing came out or anything.
Sure.
But after that practice, I'm sitting there training with some guys that are in the UFC, Nick Lentz, Jacob.
Which, by the
Volkman,
way,
Brad
this is
Pickett.
at the Academy, Greg Nelson's gym, right?
Yes, this is at Greg Nelson's
Wow.
gym. Paul Bradley. There was a bunch of good fighters there, and I just, you know what I said to myself? I said, I'm not gonna win a championship in UFC. I'm done fighting.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, like, I'd never thought of, like, to me it was if I don't have a chance to be number one in a competitive sport,
Sure.
I can work at it, but like, realistically, with what I had to work with, my talents at the time and everything, I was like, this is not gonna happen.
It happens, man. I mean, I went through something similar when we were setting up the gym and whatnot. It was like, do I want to keep on competing right now, or do I want to set up the gym and get
run
things
the
going?
business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to choose. And interestingly, I had a similar situation with my elbow reconstruction. Right before we moved into this space, we were giving one of the guys his brown belt, and I whipped him. And I extended my arm and I brought it back, and it locked up. Oof. And they ended up tearing a whole bunch of stuff out of my elbow, scoped it, and then repaired my tricep, and there was tendon repair and whatnot. But same thing. It was just like, going through that kind of like surgery and then rehab. One thing I did, the day before my surgery, day after my surgery, I was on the mats. I was doing something,
Nice. Yeah.
But it was the same thing. It's like, you got to think about that. Do you want to continue being super competitive, or do you want to do something else? And in your case, it was, do I really want to continue fighting MMA?
Yeah. And I didn't, because the quality of life as a MMA fighter, like the average MMA fighter, and when I say average, the one that's not doesn't have like all these big time financial sponsors to help him with everyday things like my rent, my car payment, my insurance. You know what I mean? Things
Sure.
like that. When you're fighting for purses,
You're not wearing a monster hat everywhere you
yeah,
go.
and all your time, like, is either you could be working to help pay for things, or you could be training to prepare yourself to win.
Yep.
So it's like half a dozen and six. It's kind of the thing. Like, what are you gonna do? And I was just at that time, I was not willing to make that sacrifice anymore.
Sure.
So that's. But I always knew in my heart that like I'll never stop doing jujitsu.
Yeah.
Like jujitsu will always be.
Eric Paulson said a good one. He talks about how his last fight, who was? Oh, it was John McCarthy backstage. He said something like, he said to Eric, stop fighting. No one wants to see old people fight. And that was his last fight. But he says, MMA has a times or a lifespan. Jiu-Jitsu's forever. You can just keep doing jiu-jitsu.
And I feel like he's wrong there. I would love to watch old people fight, but not middle-aged people. I mean old people. I want to watch like 80-year-olds fight.
That would be pretty awesome.
Like,
that would.
or like bums fighting.
You need to see. Here's the thing. They need to have what is Dan Henderson doing?
How old is he now?
50?
60?
Yeah.
50, 60?
He's fighting Hector Lombard.
He's an AARP member.
So is he going to get crushed?
Probably, but
Like
they
in a
need
really
to have
sad-
a master's class for MMA. I think that would go over.
You laugh, but you're serious.
I'm totally
so
serious.
Which one's right? I don't know.
I know.
Would it be funny or would it be good?
They should not be fighting studs in their prime at 23 years old.
Is Dan Henderson getting like psychological evaluations post-fight?
Good call.
And if he is, I mean, can I be a fly on the wall?
Yeah, how about it?
I want to hear what comes out of his mouth when they ask him questions.
Well, what do you think about BJ Penn or Anderson Silva? These are guys that are past their prime for sure.
Yep. Yep. I agree.
As a like a fan, I don't want to see BJ Penn fight. I watched BJ Penn.
We don't want to see BJ Penn get trashed by somebody. Yeah, I mean,
like I'm sick of the UFC trying to pick any random fighter that had their time as a great champion and like try to like rekindle this marketing frenzy.
It just makes you sad because you're seeing these guys that were heroes not be heroes anymore, and
it's not even that. It's more like I'm sick of seeing MMA get succumb to this corporate, business model of fighters and the way they're marketing. I mean, it's great in a sense, but for the fighter, it's like.
But do you think it's for Dan Henderson? He just wasn't able. He just hasn't been able yet, and the money plays a big part when you get to that level. Mm-hmm. But just on a bigger stage, feels like he's having a harder time coming to the same realization that you came to in Minnesota. Like all fighters at some point have to say to themselves, I'm just not going to fight anymore. Yep. I'm going to do something else now.
That's tough.
And for the guys with the money and the fame, it's probably even harder for them to give it up.
Or
right? Am I right? I feel like I'm right.
On that line, or they don't have the money but they have the fame, so they can still keep on making money. Yeah, I think that's what happens.
But the hardest thing for any fighter, and you know this, I know this, is to say, I'm done fighting and walk away and never turn back and be like, someone offered me a fight. I'm thinking about taking.
That's kind of what you did.
A fighter is to stop fighting and
just stop cold turkey.
Drop the mic and walk away.
Yep.
I see guys struggle with that. I don't struggle with it because I compete in Jiu-Jitsu. I think that kind of like it sidelines that.
Yeah, it gives you that competitive outlet.
Oh, absolutely, and it's way more fun.
But you couldn't just be like, I'm done fighting. I think I'm gonna do some road construction instead, and just never fight again.
Yeah, or it's just one of those things that like a fighter is never done fighting.
Yep.
Like they always like kind of have that in their head, like I could take a fight. I could.
It's true. Yeah, for me, I mean, with stick fighting and whatnot, I'll fight again. I've been on sabbatical and through injuries and getting this place going, but I will fight again at some point. But I'm honest with myself. I'll never fight MMA. I'll never do Muay Thai or boxing. I'll do Jiu-Jitsu, like I said, till I'm dead.
You'll never do Muay Thai again or anything like that.
I've never fought MMA, boxing, or Thai boxing. I've never done any of those competitively.
Kickboxing?
Nope, I've never done any. And I think I've said this story before. Whenever I realized what all was involved in stick fighting, I realized I can do all that in stick fighting. I can do punches and kicks and elbows and knees and grab. I can do it all, and I get a weapon. Done. Yeah. So and that's probably what a lot of MMA fighters think whenever they're like, why would I want to just do boxing whenever I'm really good at takedowns and chokes? I don't want to just box. I want to do MMA so I can take them down and choke them,
I think that the evolution of MMA is going to be kind of like directed into Jiu-Jitsu.
It's possible.
I mean,
we're seeing it a lot with all the leg locks and whatnot that are coming in.
It's Jiu-Jitsu is super marketable. And look at the UFC, running or sponsoring EBI now.
Mm-hmm. It's on Fight Pass.
Other tournament. Yeah. So why are they doing that? Because they know that there's a market there.
Yep.
Why is there a big market there as opposed to MMA? Because these 100 people that are doing Jiu-Jitsu are going to be back tomorrow after doing Jiu-Jitsu because they're not getting punched in the face and kicked. And there's nothing wrong with getting punched in the face and kicked. I used to love doing that.
Sure.
Right? But
recovery time is
on a long-term scale, and it's more inviting to more people, so the market gets bigger and expanded, and kids could do it, and older, So, at a business, standpoint, I feel like we're in the right place with jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
You know,
I agree.
What fight did you post where the dude, he's getting lit up the whole fight? It looked like he was going to lose it. And then triangle choke, he wins.
Who was that? I don't know.
I don't know, but and it just amazed me. I was like,
Anderson Silva and Sonnen too. That's an example.
Well, because you just wrote, rule number 1, never give up, and then something else, and you posted it on the students' page.
I think I said all roads lead to
Triangle
the magnificent triangle.
Triangles for all.
Yes.
Because it's amazing. That's what jiu-jitsu is. It's I can get you at any time. At any time.
Yep.
You'd be pounding me in the face, and hope you're asleep now.
Yep.
that's the beauty.
It's crazy. You say beauty, I say it scares me.
Yeah, and it's a chess game. You don't know what the other person, what move they're going to do next. It's the same. That's the same with striking, but with jiu-jitsu, it's more involved. You know what I mean? Than getting punched and kicked. So
Yeah.
cool. Well, I think we're about to wrap it up. So we're gonna have you in this evening, which by the time this podcast goes out, it'll
be
probably
happening at the same time, maybe.
or it'll be afterwards. But man, I'm pumped to have you in.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait to show, what I'm going to show the guys. I think they're really going to like it.
awesome. It's cool too, like you were saying, kind of full circle. At one point we were here under a different roof, and now we're in this gym, and so
This gym is
Looks
incredible.
like
Thank
we
you.
made it. This feels good. I wish I could remember the rest of the song. Mandy, I could do from front to back.
Man.
Copacabana, front to back. I'm a big fan of Low, so I could. I could bust it out.
That's all right.
We'd be good. All right, thanks, Lou.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Cool. Awesome.
Good night, podcast.
Yeah, for some reason we always say good night podcast.
You don't have.
Good
Good
fight.
night.
Good fight podcast.
Yeah. You don't need to explain it. Just say good night.